everybody, I am back with my Wrath of Ashardalon step-by-step series. I decided I'm going to do a highlight video today where I'm highlighting, as I talked about in earlier videos, I wanted to have a bit of a yellowish orange kind of highlight effect in the end to show that sort of similar look to the red box dragon on the Dungeons and Dragons board game, role-playing game. And before I do that, I've been mixing and sampling a bit of paints to get that effect that I want, and as I was looking at the reds, this is a fairly dark red, and before I actually go to a orangish yellow highlight, I wanted to get a little bit of a lighter red in those same areas. And so right now I've pre-mixed some Mephiston red from Games Workshop with a little bit of Vallejo's thinner medium, just a couple of drops in my cup, and then mostly water. And so it's gonna, actually I haven't even checked it on here, but yeah, got my color coming out there, pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to, I haven't pre-planned where I'm going to do this to, but it's pretty much going to be sort of like zenith highlighting, so I'll do it at the top here. Coming out like a nice, rich, vibrant red as compared to sort of a dark, really dark red that I used last time from the Vallejo. Right now I'm just focusing on the top right here. Now I'm doing the face of it here. I've already got a little bit of tip dry. I'm not as worried today about the problems that I had before in that first video. I appreciate you guys that suffered through that as I did. That was really like 6 months of paint buildup internally in the airbrush, not at the tip on the business end that you usually are cleaning. And not only have I really kind of did my own process of restoring the interior of the brush, but I've also ordered some Restore that Createx makes to try that out, to see where you get to soak your brush overnight, and it's supposed to take out stuff that's hard to get to in the interior and things. So this is coming out nice. I'm kind of glad I'm doing this step before the other one. I've never really found the Games Workshop paints to be great through the airbrush, but unfortunately I have a mix of paint in my arsenal, and I don't have paint of every single brand and every single variety, and so it just so happened that sort of the kind of red I was looking for this step, what I have is a Games Workshop paint, and so I find that it dries a little bit quicker, and it might be how I'm mixing it, you know. I'd be interested in other people's thoughts on what they do, but I find that they're a little less suited for the airbrush to me. Some people may say, from what I've seen on other people's channels, that that's the understatement of the year, but it's just my experience. I'm trying to catch this area right here, which is sort of a thin area to catch and not really blanket the interior, which is not what I want to do. I'm trying to want to just get that outer rim and get it highlighted, as if even though there's dark areas inside, I want to just highlight it to show that the light catches the whole outer rim there. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm pretty close to just getting to the next step now. I didn't really need a ton of that. Okay, that's a good basis for what I want to go to next. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back and now actually do some highlighting with my yellow-orange mix that is going to be a mixture of Troll Slayer Orange from Games Workshop and Everland Sunset from Games Workshop. And I'll be right back. Okay everybody, I am back and I have pre-mixed my yellow and orange in this cup. And this is a bit of an experiment. I've done mostly highlighting, you've probably seen from my other videos, with grays, shades of gray between black and white, a lot of times around my Eldar, creating shadows underneath. I've never created an active, like I guess a highlight with an airbrush, other than power weapons, where you create that power weapon effect, where it goes from like a midnight blue into like a, you know, a brighter blue and a white to create that power weapon effect. I've never done like color highlights with the airbrush like this. So particularly with orange and yellow and red. And so this is a bit of an experiment for me. Hopefully it doesn't miserably fail. I'm going to be really careful here to try to create this effect. So here we go. I'm starting on the tips of the wings here. I'm getting a nice gradual build up, which is good, because the last thing I want is a stark yellow Really, I want something very subtle. Being careful here not to let really any significant tip dry happen on the airbrush, because I don't want any splattering to happen at this point. Any splattering would just completely be apparent and seen. My concoction that I have here is a little thicker than I'd like it. I thought I mixed it with enough water, but what I see sort of happening with that is it makes it more difficult to get it out under lower pressure, which then, in my experience, if I try to force it out or put a little too much pressure, it comes out with too much at once, and that's really not what I want to happen. So, kind of just added a little bit more water. Seems to have helped. If you've noticed there, I had a little bit splatter on his tail, and what I did is I ramped up the pressure without air, just air, without without paint, just to sort of scatter it so it doesn't, so I get that gradual effect I wanted and not get it all over the place. So far, I'm kind of pleased with this. For those of you that watch my channel because of the Warhammer, not the D&D, you might be familiar with Eldar and the Autarch. And although my army's Spieltan and it's primarily a green and white scheme, the Autarch is one model that when I do paint it, I'm going to stay with the traditional colors of what it is in the lore, and that's you know, sort of black with molten lava coming out of it and fire, and so it's lots of red, orange, and yellow. So this is a little bit of a, despite the fact that I'd hate to call this a test piece because I want to do this well for my D&D set, this is a little bit of a practice for me for that too, because I'm going to be trying to do some fire, and this is not meant to be fire, this is meant to be a bit of a subtle glow of light onto the red, giving it that yellowish orange look. So, to be honest, I don't want to do too much more of this because it's actually as bright as I want it. Now, I'm not sure if you can see here. Let me just get a close-up shot. Now I'll be doing washes on top of this, and so this isn't, if it looks too bright now to you, or maybe it looks just right, but either way, this sort of lightning that I've done here, I'll let you see it here as well, that yellowish look, that it will be covered with oil wash as well. And then I'll be doing some selective dry brushing. This is just sort of preparing it for that wash with the base coat. What I do have to do next is do some detail painting of the chest plate now, which is going to be a yellow. And so that'll be a complementary yellow, like a sunset yellow. And then I have to do the rock that he's on, and his fingernails and eyes and stuff like that, teeth. And you know, all the horns and stuff. So I think from the airbrush perspective, get a nice, maybe a nice look in here. From the airbrush perspective, I've done all the shading and highlighting prep work prior to washing. Everything from here on out, I mean, I'll use the airbrush to put on coats and things like that, like varnish, you know, in between other stages and stuff, but I'm pretty much done with coloring from that perspective. And so now it's all brushwork from here. Okay, so I hope you guys like this sort of highlighting video with the airbrush, and I will see you back with my next video. Take care.